if you at a cookout, your music should be able to be played at a cookout, at the club, at the beach, at church, where in every, making music that, just music that lights the room up and that sparks a good energy in the room.
Yeah, Christian Dior, yeah, knock, got peas at the door, yeah, 30 point gon' score, yeah, I'ma hammer like Thor, yeah, wow, sippin' some oil, yeah, water gon' boil, yeah, big coupe Megazord, yeah, plain paddock is aluminum foil, yeah.
So you may know him from his newest album, Captured by Love, or from his other songs, Amazing or On My Mind. Please welcome Lil Byron to the podcast.
I'ma hit you with that cha-cha-cha, yeah, then we gon' slip into a salsa. Oh, you got me feeling like the myth don't lie. Yeah.
How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, no problem.
So first question off the bat, I just wanted to know, is there a moment when you knew you wanted to get into rapping, or when you were like, oh, I'm better than the average person at this?
Yes, most definitely. I felt that moment happened for me when I was a senior in high school. I went to an entertainment magnet school, so we had access to studios. And, when I was in the studio learning and then recording and seeing the stuff I came up with, I'm like, man, I can actually do this. So, I feel like I make, radio ready music. Mm-hmm. I felt that way, back then in high school. So that was definitely that moment that sparked that in my head.
When you listen back, it sounded professional, and it sounded like it could be a real song made by an established artist.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely. I was proud of it, and I was like, man, I sound professional.
So at the school you went to, they had studios in the school?
Yeah, they had a multi-million-dollar studio. I went to Pearl Cone High School. It's in North Nashville, and most people, from the outside looking in, that's the school in the hood, but it was a very good school. There was entertainment. They had, they taught us how to, run record labels. They taught us how to record. They taught us how to mix. They taught us how to make beats. And yeah, they got a studio.
So really,
in there.
any aspect of the music industry, it seems like owning a label, producing, actually being the singer or rapper behind the song. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that was very cool, because that's definitely not a common thing in most schools.
Yeah, I think it's the only school in the country actually to even have it set up that way. So I definitely went to a good school for real. Shout out to Pearl Cone.
Mm-hmm. So what's one thing you wish you had known when you started rapping and started your career?
Oh, that's a good question. One thing that I wish I had known. I would say politics in the industry. It's so many, as far as the value of, music being, genuine, and people, actually genuinely, growing and kind of blowing up naturally instead of it being a more, political thing. So, what I mean by political, I'll just use, radio. Most people think, when someone goes number one on the charts or something, that, the song just naturally went on the radio on its own. But, it, whoever goes number one, it just determines who has more money, who pays the radio people the most. And, it kind of takes away the...
Or just who's the bigger artist. At this point, big artists like Bieber, Taylor Swift, Drake, if they release anything, it's gonna go to number one. And it's just, automatic.
Yep, and that's where record label artists have advantage over independent artists, because they have money behind them. So
you
always definitely a lot of politics.
Yeah, you always hear about these artists either with a label or independent. Are you independent or with a label? So you're independent.
I'm independent. Yeah.
So what kind of problems or struggles might people have as an independent artist that the general public doesn't really know about?
So as an independent artist, I definitely would say as far as getting to the gatekeepers, as far as getting to the people, that's actually not a problem for an independent artist, because we're in a social media era. So, if we're on social media, random people,
anyone can connect to anyone.
So that's a plus for being independent. But as far as there's more cons on the business side, when it comes to being an independent artist. Like, say if an independent artist want to maybe submit for to go for a Grammy or something, you know, it'd be harder for them, for like the Grammy board to like go for vote for an independent artist, because most of these people, they're gonna go for the bigger artists, because the bigger artists kind of already have a relationship with them. And so like it's just stuff like really dealing with gatekeepers over radio, over even if you want to try to get into a label or getting a distribution deal, like just dealing with gatekeepers. So like and then also funding. Like sometimes independent artists they struggle with getting funding. So because they don't really have a team behind them. So,
as you being independent, how do you personally get funds to like promote stuff, come out with music, all that?
Honestly, for me, how I get my funds, I've learned like the game as far as like, okay, what do I have to put money into to actually get a return? And so like for me, I'll say like I started like I come up with my own money, and once I come up with my own money, I would like invest it into like maybe something like Spotify that, you know, they say streaming don't pay a lot, but if you work it well enough, you can get a return off of it, and then eventually, you know, it'll start paying for itself. And so for me, I definitely that's my route. And then also like if you're independent and you have your own business, you know, you can get startup. There are like a lot of grants out here, and so I'm into that stuff too. So yeah.
Yeah, so like you said, like making your own money. I see your sweatshirt has your name on it. Do you sell that to other people, and is that another way you can make money to fund what you do?
Yeah, it's definitely this is online. It's in my links, like in my bios, of all my social medias at Lil Byron _99. And yeah, this is another way to make money. Like this, it's kind of like you got to kind of hustle. Being an independent artist, and it won't always be where you have to scratch for $1. Like if it's working for you, and more importantly, if the people are actually liking you and they're connected to you and they'll support you, and it'll grow, because we can invest as much as we want to, but at the end of the day, the people still have to like it. Like I can put my album in front of 1 million people right now if I want to. But, you know, those people have to actually like it and become actual fans, you know, because I could put all the money into it. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to be successful. Yeah. But, you know, it just puts you in front of people. But they still have to like what you do, so you have to make sure you're giving them good content, good merch. And,
So you have a nice following, but you have a relatively small following on social media. But that means that those people want to see you, and they're like, you know that they're fans of you. Whereas you see artists with these huge numbers where maybe they'll have a crazy amount of followers, but you look at their posts and it's like 1/6 of their follower count on the likes. And it's like, clearly there are people who just kind of follow it because they have a lot of followers or because they know who they are.
Yeah. For real. It's definitely it shows that, you know, you gotta actually connect. Like because most people could buy numbers, most people could buy streams, they could buy a #1, they could buy a Grammy, but at the end of the day, like, are the people connecting? And for me, that's something I'm working on. My following, like, I'm slowly building it up and trying to do it the natural, organic way and really get to the people. And I feel like so far the following, that people who rock with me, like they support me solidly, and I'm thankful for them. I wouldn't be where I am without my fans and my followers.
So obviously rap and just the music industry in general can be kind of hard to break into or to get your name out there. What's been so far like the hardest part or the hardest moment you've had trying to grow as an artist?
I could say the hardest for me is I'm in a musical family, and so my dad, he's very successful. And so I could say a lot of people, I I don't look at it as pressure, but I will say it's definitely tough to like kind of separate myself sometimes from my father, which I respect my father. I love my father, but a lot of people sometimes feel like they have to mention him to I guess kind of lift me up. And for me, I want people to realize that I'm a very dope artist. Just by my alone, like without having to without you having to mention my father, and then he just so happens to be my father. That's the icing on the cake. But yeah, like that's definitely the hardest part. A lot of people kind of diminish they try to diminish what I've accomplished or my talents because it's like, oh, you grew up in a household where your dad was big at it, so yeah, and it's like but it's like I've actually worked. I did all the work myself, and my dad guided me. But
that's the problem. People like make good connections, and they become close with someone big, and then when other people find out about them, yes, they follow you, but they're like, oh, you're so-and-so's friend, or oh, you're the son of so-and-so. It's not that you're, like, for example, not your Lil Byron.
Yeah, and that's why I want people to say, like, man, he's dope because he's dope, like, he's talented on his own. And that's where I'm trying to break. I'm starting to, but it's a process for real. It's definitely, it can be tough at times, but I actually love it because, I respect my father. I love what he's done. I would never it's no like hard feelings towards him when I say that statement. Like it's just more so a general thing that the people on the outside try to put pressure on like me and my siblings. And so yeah, that's what comes with being, the son of someone who's famous and who's done something in the game.
Mm-hmm. So maybe it's different recently in the pandemic, maybe not, but have you played live shows like in I guess obviously not maybe an arena, but like restaurants or other stages to perform in front of crowds?
So during the pandemic, I only did 2 shows. One was an outdoor event, and then the second one was virtual. So yeah, I didn't really do too many shows like that.
So I'm sure performing virtually that can be weird and maybe throw you off a little. What was that like, and did it kind of get in your head when you were performing live?
Honestly, I will say it was different. Like it's like, man, this is so different. Not like being able to interact with a crowd, but I had to like before I went into that show, like I already had prepared my mind to like, okay, there's no crowd out here, but I'm gonna talk to the camera like it's a million people,
like it is the crowd, yeah.
Yeah, and like I was even saying, like I was like, y'all say, like I was trying to get, even though I'm not gonna hear what they're saying, or like if I ask them to repeat, like I ain't gonna hear it, but I still tried to make it feel like, okay, we're live, like this is a live show, we all are right here with me. And yeah, it was definitely different, different for sure.
So getting a live performance like that, whether in person or virtual, what does going about that look like, and like what does booking it look like? Who do you reach out to? What's all that like?
Yeah, so really the process of performing, most of the time, it's the people that reach out like to you or email you, or maybe if you know someone, they'll text your phone if they have your number. And that's how all of my shows have been. Like they'll hit me up and say, hey, we want to book you for this day. Are you free? And we discuss details. They discuss how long like they want me to perform. I discuss like a price range, and it gets booked. And then after the booking is done, I usually go to a rehearsal spot, like a rehearsal studio, just to like run through my show before the actual performance. Like especially if I go like months, or even in this case like a whole year without performing. I go rehearse, and then after I rehearse, I get ready, and it's showtime.
So moving on, like it can be another artist in the industry who makes music, or someone you know personally. Is there someone who's kind of inspired you throughout your musical career or like inspired you to make music?
Yes. Outside of my father, like, because obviously I've lived under him. Like, he's definitely my first inspiration. I would say, like, in the hip hop world, like, since I do hip hop, T-Pain has been my biggest inspiration because I feel like he's definitely underappreciated. And then on top of that, like, I feel like when he came into the industry, he brought a sound that everyone uses today. Mm-hmm. And even including myself, like, I'm a big fan of auto-tune, and I love the effect of it and just the flavor that it gives your vocal. And he definitely inspired me, him and Drake, because what inspires me most about Drake is that he's a hit maker. Like, he's consistent, and for me, I want to make music that catches on to the listener. And so for me, I feel like he's the biggest blueprint to study in that regard of just consistently making all around great songs, from catchy songs to lyrical songs. Like, he just has the whole full package. Mm-hmm. So those two are my biggest inspirations, Drake and T-Pain.
Both of those artists you mentioned, more so T-Pain, but Drake as well. They're very interesting because they come out with rap songs, but like, again, T-Pain especially, they're rap songs, but they can also be used as like dance music, or like if you play it at a party, like people are gonna dance to it. It's not like rap where it's just kind of saying words fast, trying to show off your speed.
For real. And that's the art of, like, that's what I tell, like, a lot of artists that I work with, and then a lot of local artists who ask my opinion about music. I'm like, man, I think the key is really making stuff that lights the room up. Whether that's, if you at a cookout, your music should be able to be played at a cookout, at the club, at the beach, at church, where in every, like, making music that, just music that lights the room up and that sparks a good energy in the room. And I definitely think a part of that is like having a balance of catchiness and lyricalness, because a lot of artists get too caught up in trying to be like, oh, I can flow, and it's like, okay, cool, you got a nice flow, but are you making songs that people are gonna actually love, people are gonna actually sing along to, people are gonna have fun to? And
you see a whole variety of songs where it's like a pop catchy song where they just keep doing the same chorus over and over, or some rap songs where there won't be a single line repeated, and from beginning to end it's just a new line.
Yeah.
So you said you look at Drake as a blueprint, you like T-Pain's sound. Other than those two, are there any other artists you kind of take bits and pieces of for your music, or is it mostly just like your own creative sound?
Yeah, when I'm going into my creative, actually, like my sound, I try not to listen to other artists before, like, if I'm in album mode, I try not to listen to other artists, because I don't want people to hear when they listen to my music, I don't want them to say, man, you sound like T-Pain, or you sound like Drake, because, you can tell when some people, like, when they record a song, you can tell who they just got through listening to. And for me, I be trying to make sure I come up with something as original as possible and be me. And I think during my creative process, I have to not listen to any other artist, because unless, like, I'm gonna sample somebody or something for like a beat. But as far as when I'm getting on this microphone right here, I'm right by my studio. When I'm getting on the microphone, I try to be me, and that's why I can't listen to nobody before I create.
Mm-hmm. When you listen, you don't want people listening to be like, oh, this guy sounds like this person, sounds like this person. You want them to listen and say, oh, that's Lil Byron. I know who this is. I know this sound.
Yeah.
Album or song, when you're creating a new body of work, what does that creative process look like? Do you write and then get the beat? Do you have the beat and then start writing on top of that? What does that look like?
So for me, I'm the kind of guy that I kind of like to have beats that are, at least have the foundation of the beat is done, and the structure and everything, pretty much a finished beat, because I just like to have something to vibe to. I'm not the guy that sometimes I'm a guy that I'll sit in the room with you and we can come up with a beat together. But like me and my producer, he lives in Georgia. Shout out to BGR. He lives in Georgia. I live in Tennessee. So we go back and forth through text message, email, and FaceTime. And that's kind of how we work. And after I get the beats, like if I'm not like vibing through a beat pack that he sends me, or on FaceTime, I'll just my bad, I lost my thought. I'll start writing to these beats. I'll write on top of the beats that's already done. And after I write, I'll get on the mic and see if I mess with it. And sometimes I have to go to sleep, come back. It's a process for me. Like I'm not the type that I can't release like multiple albums in a year because I really sit down with my music and make sure that it's good because it's my legacy on the line.
People don't realize like artists take years between albums, and it's not like they have it done and they're like, I'm just gonna wait a while. It's like it actually takes around that long for them to write a new song or a new album.
Yes, I'm a testament for sure.
So you in Tennessee, your producers in Georgia. Was that like that before the pandemic and you didn't really change during it, or is this only because of the pandemic?
It was actually like that even before the pandemic.
So there wasn't like too much of a change when the pandemic came. Okay.
Yeah, because we were both kids when we first met each other. We were like, we were like teenagers. I was like, he's 2 years younger, so I was probably like 16 and he was like 14. No, I was probably like maybe 17. He was like 15. And yeah, like he lives in a whole nother city. I met him once. He came to this music camp called Camp Electric, and that's where I met him in person. And I've never seen him in person since then. But we still like, that's my brother. Like we're close, and we talk all the time. And it's only a matter of time when I'm gonna see him again this year for sure.
So in your music, is it just kind of something creative that you like to do, or are you trying to send a message to people with your music?
It's both. So sometimes I just feel a creative bug, and it's like, okay, this song is just really an idea I just came up with. Hope y'all mess with it. And then there are some times where I'm trying to send a message or I'm trying to tell a story. And definitely my last album, Captured by Love, I was more on like some storytelling. I was trying to really tell a story still in a cool way, like where people can still sing along to it. Yeah. And so it just depends on the season, the mood of how I'm feeling. So I'll say both.
Because you see artists who, like you, have a combination of both, and then you see artists who kind of try to put a message or meaning in their lyrics. Maybe someone like Logic or Eminem occasionally, and then you have people just kind of making rap music like Lil Pump or something, where it's kind of just the same thing over and over, and it's just because it sounds cool.
Yep, that's true.
So, in the music industry, if you got the chance to make one song with any artist in the industry, rapper or another genre, who would it be?
One artist.
Yeah, but you can have multiple answers. Like, people I've talked to were like, oh, I think I'd sound good with this person, but then they're like, but honestly, if I want streams, just do it with Drake, and that's gonna get plays.
Yeah. The business move is, I would say, Drake. On a business move, I would say I'll do a song with Drake. On another move, if he was alive, I would actually do a song with Michael Jackson, just to be able to say I was able to do a song with, like, he's considered the greatest. Yeah. Like, no one has ever reached the level that he's reached. So I would say, like, for that reason, if I could do a song with anybody, it'd be Michael Jackson. And for a business move in today's world, I would say Drake.
And so you and Michael Jackson, you think that would fit well, and you think you could make a good song with that?
Whew. That's a good question. I definitely think it would have to be a thing where I just do a breakdown segment of the song, and he does most of the song. Because
You'd have to like take a break and kind of change what you normally do, because like normally what you do probably wouldn't fit in very well with him. So
yeah, and so I'm the type, I like to challenge myself. Like, I believe I can pull it off and make it cool, and showcase my versatility in a sense, and go for it. So I think it's possible, but it'll be a stretch. No, it'll definitely be a stretch.
Do you have like a favorite couple albums of all time for music? And it can be albums you just think are the best, or it can just kind of be your favorites that you like listening to, and yeah.
Okay, so I'll say I like Drake's Views album. I love Brandy, R&B artist. She has an album called Full Moon. That's probably my top. That's my favorite album from any artist. Like, she's not my favorite artist, but that's my favorite like album across the board. Like, is Full Moon by Brandy. I think it's such an underrated album by her. And I'm a big gospel fan, so I gotta say I'm a fan of J Moss's. He has a record called V2, and that's my favorite. That's top 5 in my I guess favorite albums list. And the cool thing about J Moss is that I actually got to do a song with him where I'm currently my dad featuring me and J Moss. We're all in the song together, and we're top 40 on the charts right now. So on that's the gospel chart. So I'm very happy about that. I was able to be on a song with one of my childhood idols.
So I guess now 2 things from that. What was it like to make a song with J Moss, and also what was it like to be on a song with your dad and like making music with your dad?
Man, so it was so crazy. Like, that process was fun. Like, I actually came up with the whole concept for the song that we did, and I laid the hook down because I'm on the hook. And then my dad, he loved it, and he was like, he would love to use it because I wrote it for him. And he was like, I'm going to keep you on there featuring you. And so we got his verses written, and I was all in on the process with my dad. And while he was recording, like, we was in the studio together. I'm making sure it was really good. And you know, going back and forth as far as like really dialing in. And then we sent it to J Moss, and J Moss, he really, like, the whole song was written, and he came in and he performed the lyrics, and he really took it to the next level. And like, just to see his process of how he operates and how he thinks, he definitely, like, he's a legend, and he know what he's doing. And I'm just happy to be able to work with both my dad and him, like 2 people who have been in the game for years. And you know, I'm just soaking it in. It was definitely great.
So when you make a song with another artist, whether you're the feature or you're featuring someone else, how do you decide who and when to collab with someone? Like, how do you decide, oh, this song's going to be just me, oh, this song I'll have someone else on? And how do you decide who that person is?
Man, so how I decide if the song is just me, like, I just determine, like, if, like, it's all kind of like a feeling, and it's an unexplainable feeling. Like, when I'm making a song, I'm like, man, it sounds good. I really don't think I need another voice on this. And depending on the topic plays a big role. Like if it's a love song, and a certain song where, like, it's an argumentative song and it needs 2 perspectives on the same track. Like, off my album, it's a song called Sticks and Stones.
Sticks and stones can change your tone. I can't do this on my own.
I sung my perspective, and then the artist that's featured, Kelly B, her name's Kelly B, she sung from the girl's perspective, and it just depends on the topic. The topic is the biggest key, and then the feeling of the song. That's how I determine if either I should be on it or if I should have a feature on it. And then the vibe of the song determines, like, if I make a happy beat and I say, like, I want to feature Lil Yachty or something. Like, if I do some happy vibe, like on some very goofy but hip hop you know how his beats are, like,
Yeah.
and I'll be like, okay, this sounds like a beat that Lil Yachty should, even though I've never worked with Lil Yachty, I'm just using a fake example. And yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I had for today. Thank you so much for stopping by. Where can people find you? Your music, social media, your clothing. Where can they find all that?
So follow me on all platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, at Lil Byron _99, LILBYRON _99. And all of my music is on all platforms. Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer, Tidal, wherever you want to listen to music, I'm on there. Just search Lil Byron, LIL BYRON, and in my bios, all my links are in my bios for my merch and my music. So yeah, that's where you can find me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
Christian Dior, yeah, knock, got peas at the door, yeah, 30 point gon' score, yeah, I'm a hammer like Thor, yeah, wow, sippin' on oil, yeah, water gon' boil, yeah, big coupe Megazord, yeah, plain paddock is aluminum foil, yeah.